How to handle disrespect and command. Respect effortlessly. Introduction. Set your boundaries. Take back your power. Have you ever noticed how some people treat respect as if it's optional? They interrupt mid-sentence, throw passive-aggressive remarks, or act as if your time, energy, and feelings are insignificant. It's frustrating, isn't it? You wonder whether you should address it, ignore it, or just smile and let it go to keep the peace. Not today. Respect is not something you ask for, it's something you command. And the key to earning respect isn't about aggression, over-explaining, or demanding validation. It's about mastering your presence, your response, and most importantly, your boundaries. If you're tired of tolerating people who subtly or blatantly disregard your worth, this video is for you. Today, I'm sharing 5 powerful strategies inspired by Stoic philosophy, psychology, and social dynamics that will help you handle disrespect with confidence and ensure that people take you seriously without losing your cool and without sacrificing your dignity. Here's what you can expect: how to make others respect you without ever raising your voice. The simple psychological tricks that shift power dynamics in your favor. Why Stoicism teaches that silence can be more powerful than words. How to set clear boundaries without confrontation or conflict. The ultimate power move that makes you untouchable to toxic people. By the end of this video, you'll have the tools to set clear boundaries, reclaim your confidence, and ensure that people respect you without ever begging for it. Are you ready to take back your power? Let's dive in. 1. The silent stare, nonverbal dominance. If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. Marcus Aurelius ever tried responding to disrespect without saying a single word? You should. It's one of the most powerful yet underrated techniques for commanding respect. Most people, when faced with rudeness, feel the urge to argue, explain, or fight back. But here's the truth. Reacting emotionally only gives away your power. The real dominance lies in staying unshaken, in showing that their words or behavior don't control you. How to use it effectively? Pause. When someone says something condescending or rude, resist the instinct to fire back. Instead, just stop and breathe. Look at them. Keep your gaze steady, calm, and expressionless. No frowning, no smirking, just neutral confidence. Let the silence stretch. Most people expect immediate reactions. They crave a response because it validates their bad behavior. But when you say nothing, it throws them off balance. This method works because of social pressure. People naturally feel uncomfortable when their actions aren't acknowledged or rewarded. Your silence forces them to sit with their own words, making them more aware of how inappropriate or foolish they sound. Real-life example. I once had a relative who loved making backhanded comments, sarcastic, little digs disguised as jokes. One day, he tried it on me at a family gathering. Instead of getting defensive or trying to laugh it off, I did something different. I just looked at him. Calm, unbothered, no reaction. The silence stretched for a few seconds. Then he shifted uncomfortably. He tried to justify his comment, but I just kept looking, expressionless. After an awkward pause, he quickly changed the subject. And guess what? He never tried it again. Why this works? It shifts the power dynamic. You're no longer reacting, you're making them uncomfortable with their own actions. It forces them to confront their behavior. When you don't feed into their negativity, they lose the incentive to continue. It establishes self-respect. The silent stare is not passive, it's an assertion that you refuse to play their game. The next time someone tries to undermine you, don't engage, don't argue. Just look at them with steady, composed silence. Your presence alone will do the talking. The silent stare isn't about being aggressive. It's about showing that you are completely in control. And that is what commands true respect. 2. Master the art of silence. Control the frame. Silence is a lesson learned through life's many sufferings. Seneca. Sometimes the most powerful response to disrespect is no response at all. People who thrive on belittling others expect a reaction, anger, defensiveness, or justification. They want you to flinch, to argue, to feed into their negativity. But what happens when you don't? When you simply refuse to engage? You take away their power. Why silence is a power move? It disrupts their expectations. People who provoke you rely on your reaction to fuel their behavior. When you don't engage, they feel exposed. It forces them to sit with their own words. The absence of a response creates discomfort, making them second-guess themselves. It signals strength and self-control. You don't need to explain or justify yourself to anyone. Your silence says, I am unshaken. Real-life example. I once had a coworker who loved making snide, sarcastic remarks under the guise of humor. He took every opportunity to say something condescending in front of others. One day, during a meeting, he made an inappropriate joke at my expense. Normally, I might have tried to counter it with a witty response or explain myself, but this time, I just paused. I raised my eyebrows, glanced at him for a moment, and said nothing. The silence grew heavier. A few seconds passed, and suddenly he looked uncomfortable. He fumbled for words, mumbled an excuse, and quickly changed the subject. That was the last time he tried that with me. How to use silence to command respect. Pause. When someone disrespects you, take a deep breath. Resist the urge to react. Hold the moment. Let the awkwardness settle in. Silence makes people uncomfortable when they expect drama. Let them realize you won't engage. If they don't get the response they want, they lose interest and back off. The Stoic approach to silence. The great Stoic philosophers understood that not every battle is worth fighting. True strength is knowing when to speak and when to withhold your words. Epictetus said, "It's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters." Silence is not about being passive, it's about being in control. When you stay silent, you choose the terms of engagement. When someone tries to undermine you, remember, silence is not submission, it's dominance. By not reacting, you shift the power dynamic in your favor. You don't owe anyone an explanation for who you are. So, the next time someone tries to provoke you, don't react. Just let the silence speak for itself. And watch how quickly they back down. 3. Stop explaining yourself. Your life is not open for debate. Don't waste time explaining. Your friends don't need it, and your enemies won't believe you anyway. Epictetus. Have you ever noticed how some people seem to feel entitled to explanations for your personal choices? Why did you choose that? Why didn't you go? Why did you quit your job? At first it seems harmless, maybe they're just curious. But dig deeper, and you'll realize something. These questions are often less about understanding and more about control. The hidden motives behind these questions. People ask you to explain yourself for 3 main reasons. They want to judge you. They're not asking because they genuinely care. They're asking so they can form an opinion, often a negative one. They want to make you doubt yourself. The more you explain, the more they poke holes in your reasoning, making you second-guess your decisions. They want to control how you think. By forcing you to justify yourself, they subtly pressure you to conform to their expectations. Why you don't owe anyone an explanation. Here's the truth. You don't need permission to live your life. You are not a defendant in a courtroom, and your decisions are not up for debate. Confident people don't explain, they move forward. Your choices don't need to be defended to those who won't respect them anyway. The only person who truly needs to understand your path is you. How to respond to unwanted questions. Instead of justifying yourself, give short, definitive answers. Because I want to. It's the right choice for me. This is what I've decided. And if they keep pushing, smile and change the subject. Don't engage, don't argue, just move on. Why does this work? Because it denies them control. When you refuse to explain, you send a clear message: I trust my choices and I don't need your validation. Real life example. A few years ago, I left a stable corporate job to pursue something I was passionate about. Predictably, the questions started rolling in. Why would you risk that? Aren't you afraid of failing? Do you really think that's a good idea? At first, I tried to explain, talking about my passion, my plans, my research. But the more I explained, the more people questioned me, and the more I felt like I needed to justify myself. Then one day I stopped. The next time someone asked, why would you do that? I simply said, because I want to. Guess what? The questioning stopped. The Stoic perspective on self-validation. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, said, "The opinion of 10,000 men is of no value if none of them know the truth." The truth is, you know what's right for you. You don't need external validation. You don't need to waste energy convincing people who will never truly understand. Final takeaways. Your life is yours. Stop letting others cross-examine your choices. Confident people don't explain, they act. When faced with unnecessary questions, be direct. Be brief, and move on. So next time someone demands an explanation for your choices, remember this. You don't need to justify your life to anyone. Just smile, say because I want to, and keep walking. Keep your distance. Not everyone deserves access to you. The closer you keep toxic people, the more they'll drain you. Choose wisely. We've all had people in our lives who, no matter what we do, refuse to respect us. They belittle, manipulate, or drain our energy, making every interaction feel like a battle for our own self-worth. But here's a question. Why do we keep them around? Many of us tolerate toxic people longer than we should because we feel obligated. Maybe they're old friends, coworkers, or even family members. But the truth is, you are not required to keep anyone in your life who disrespects you. How to identify people who don't deserve your energy? Some people will never respect you, no matter how kind, patient, or forgiving you are. The longer you allow them into your space, the more they will drain your energy. Watch out for these warning signs. They constantly criticize, undermine, or dismiss you. No matter what you accomplish, they always find a way to minimize it or point out flaws. Compliments are rare, but backhanded comments are frequent. They make you second-guess yourself. You feel confident until you speak to them. Somehow, after every interaction, you question your own worth, choices, or abilities. You feel drained every time you interact with them. Instead of feeling uplifted, you feel exhausted mentally, emotionally, and even physically. You might even dread seeing them or feel anxious before a conversation. Why keeping distance is necessary for your peace. Stoic philosophy teaches us not to let external negativity disrupt our inner peace. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." You can't control how people behave, but you can control who has access to your time, energy, and emotions. Keeping toxic people close is like drinking poison in small doses. You may not notice the effects immediately, but over time, they wear you down. So, instead of hoping they'll change or tolerating their disrespect, create distance. How? To remove toxic people from your life, reduce contact. See them less. Speak to them less. You don't need to make a big announcement, just start stepping back. Answer their messages less frequently. Decline invitations, and shift your focus toward people who uplift you. Create emotional distance. If you must interact with them, especially in work or family settings, detach emotionally. Don't take their words personally. Treat them like background noise. Acknowledge their presence, but don't let them affect your mood. Set firm boundaries. When they try to engage you in negativity, don't participate. If they criticize you, respond with a neutral noted and move on. If they try to stir drama, simply don't react. Real-life example, I once had a friend who seemed to have a personal mission to make me feel inadequate. If I shared an achievement, she'd say, "Well, anyone could do that." If I was excited about something, she'd find a way to downplay it. She'd make passive-aggressive remarks about my choices, making me question myself. At first, I made excuses for her. Maybe she doesn't realize she's doing it. Maybe I'm overreacting. But every time I left a conversation with her, I felt drained. I finally decided enough was enough. I didn't make a dramatic exit. I just stopped engaging. I responded to her less. I declined invitations. I removed her from my mental space. At first, she tried to pull me back in, sending random messages, guilt-tripping me about changing. But I stayed firm. The result? More peace, less negativity. I didn't just remove her from my life. I reclaimed my energy. What happens when you distance yourself from toxic people? Your mental clarity improves. Without their negative influence, you begin to see your worth clearly again. Your confidence grows. When you stop allowing people to diminish you, you naturally start feeling stronger and more secure in yourself. You create space for positive relationships. When you remove the wrong people, you make room for the right ones, those who genuinely respect and uplift you. You are the gatekeeper of your life. Not everyone deserves front-row seats in your life. Your time and energy are precious. Spend them wisely. If someone constantly disrespects you, you don't owe them access to your mind, emotions, or presence. So, the next time you feel drained by someone's presence, ask yourself, why am I allowing this? And more importantly, what would happen if I just stepped back? The answer? More peace, more self-respect. A life free from unnecessary negativity. Because the reality is, not everyone deserves access to you. The ultimate power move, walking away. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Marcus Aurelius, sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is nothing at all. No arguing, no explaining, no justifying. Just quietly deciding that you will no longer participate in situations where your worth isn't recognized. Walking away isn't running from a problem, it's choosing your peace over pointless battles. People who disrespect you often expect you to react, to plead, to prove your worth. But what happens when you don't? What happens when instead of seeking validation, you simply remove yourself from the situation? Example, the moment Sarah chose herself. Sarah was a talented creative professional, full of innovative ideas and strong leadership skills. But at her workplace, she was constantly overlooked and undervalued. Her ideas were dismissed in meetings. Her contributions were minimized, and despite working harder than anyone else, she never received the respect she deserved. One day, during yet another meeting where her voice was ignored, Sarah made a life-changing decision. She quietly closed her laptop, stood up, and left. No dramatic exit. No desperate attempts to be heard. She simply walked away, both from the meeting and eventually from the company itself. A few months later, she was thriving in a company that saw her worth, valued her insights, and gave her the opportunities she had always deserved. Sarah's story isn't unique, It's a lesson that applies to workplaces, relationships, friendships, anywhere respect is not given. Why walking away is a power move. Staying in toxic environments diminishes your self-worth. The longer you tolerate disrespect, the more you start questioning your own value. If you stay where you are not appreciated, you unconsciously train yourself to accept less than you deserve. Walking away is not weakness, it's power. Many people stay in toxic situations because they fear change. But the strongest move isn't fighting for respect, it's realizing when the fight isn't worth it. You don't need to prove your worth to people who refuse to see it. Your value isn't up for debate. If someone doesn't recognize it, that's their loss, not yours. The right people, the right opportunities, and the right environments will never require you to constantly prove your worth. How to master the art of walking away. Recognize when enough is enough. Ask yourself, would I encourage my best friend to stay in this situation? If the answer is no, then why are you tolerating it yourself? Leave quietly, but confidently. You don't owe anyone a dramatic exit or an explanation. Walking away with your dignity intact is far more powerful than any argument. Redirect your energy. Instead of wasting time on people or places that don't respect you, put your energy where it is valued. Whether that means new relationships, new opportunities, or simply focusing on your own growth, make sure you're investing in something better. Never beg for respect. Set the standard and let them rise to it, or let them go. Final takeaway. Choose your peace over their approval. Walking away is not about proving a point. It's about proving to yourself that you deserve better. Some people will only respect your absence. And that's okay. Because when you walk away from what drains you, you walk toward what empowers you. So remember, you don't have to fight for a seat at a table where you were never welcome. Build your own. Final thoughts. Own your presence. Protect your peace. Respect isn't something you demand. It's something you cultivate through your actions, your presence, and the boundaries you set. It's not about proving yourself to others, but about demonstrating to yourself that you are worthy of dignity and self-respect. Composure is power. When you stay calm in the face of provocation, you show that no one has control over your emotions but you. Boundaries are non-negotiable. When you enforce them, you send a clear message that disrespect will not be tolerated. Self-respect sets the standard. The way you treat yourself teaches others how to treat you. At the end of the day, your reactions define your power. The moment you stop seeking approval, stop engaging in pointless battles, and stop explaining yourself to those who don't deserve it, you reclaim control over your life. Master these techniques, and no one will ever use you as a stepping stone again. Because the more you respect yourself, the less permission you give others to disrespect you. If this resonated with you, hit like, subscribe to Stoic Wisdom, and comment, "I command respect." Let's continue this journey together, one step closer to personal mastery. Stay tuned for the next video, where we'll dive even deeper into the psychology of respect, influence, and unshakable confidence. Until then, walk with certainty, stand with dignity, and never doubt your worth, because you are exactly where you're meant to be.